In September of 2013, unprecedented rain flooded 6 different river corridors, causing destruction to homes, businesses, and more than 400 miles of Colorado highways. In 2022, the Colorado Department of Transportation finished the final permanent repair project from the floods. This is the story of building the Road to Resiliency. Over the past 9 years, CDOT has learned a lot about how to deal with a disaster. Some of the lessons are personal, and some are more concrete, literally.
I think the biggest lesson that I learned, and it was almost a gift starting out in my engineering career, was what nature can do. Being very thoughtful on how infrastructure that we put in will coexist with nature and its habitat.
We came up with soil cement mixing, and so what we did was we created our own bedrock. That was a technique that had never been used in Colorado.
I think when emergencies happen, which we've got an incident command structure, we've got a culture where the maintenance folks know what they need to do, the engineers know what they need to do, they don't step on each other's toes.
Unintended consequence of something like this is you get really good at handling those kinds of events. Not great that they have to happen, but really great that the agency is so well set up to respond. And I think that's a huge benefit to the public that they probably don't even realize, is that some of these things can spiral out of control if you don't handle and structure things appropriately, and CDOT is really well set up to do that in the future.
Ton of lessons learned on this. I think CDOT has learned a lot about resilience. We've put some of those theories to action on Glenwood Canyon and some other things. We've done a border-to-border interstate resilience study, so we're thinking about what happens if this segment of road washes out or is a forest fire or whatever.
More things that we've run into, 2015, the 2019, 2020 fires and stuff. While it wasn't a flood, the lessons that we learned in the flood, we were able to apply to these other very emergent situations and apply those lessons learned and have a better outcome.
One of these incidents hit in 2018, when CDOT was hit with a cyber attack that essentially wiped out almost every computer and system in the state.
But I had gone through the experience of a disaster and pretty quickly realized, okay, we're setting up an incident command structure here, we're setting up everything like we did for the flood, and we're going to run the cyber event very similar to the way the incident command was run from the flood, and it paid off, I think. I think it really helped CDOT kind of prioritize what it needed to be doing, come up with a plan of action, and get people back up and running.
And it's not just incidents in Colorado. When the 2013 floods hit, states like Vermont reached out to give some advice on how they handled their floods. Similarly, since the Colorado floods, CDOT officials have reached out to other states to give some of the lessons learned to help them deal with their disasters.
Yeah, we've had conversations with people in Houston. We've helped people in Wyoming, Montana. Recently, our last one was Kentucky.
The Kentucky scenario was a great example of a couple different things. One, we were able to take all of our lessons learned and our documents and concurrence memos, and I'll say it, a lot of the brain damage that we had to go through to get to the place where we could function as a flood recovery program. And we had these fantastic books of 53 memos that we could send. And we even talked to the folks in Kentucky of I hope this by 10, 20% reduces your stress level or helps you get to an answer that you might need. And so that was fantastic, but it also was another one of those stark reminders. You get on the phone and you have those phone calls with somebody and you can tell that person has been working 12 days straight, nonstop, not getting any sleep. And you're hearing stories of families being washed down rivers, and it just brings you literally right back to the first day that you walk into the ICC. And you can't help but connect and sort of feel on a human level. And it gives you an opportunity, whether or not that person can hear you in that moment, to say, take a minute, get some sleep, take care of yourself. You're not any good to the state of Kentucky if you aren't good to yourself. And I'd like to think that it means something coming from somebody that also went through that experience that you're currently going through.